Hello, this is Rory with the Love Chat, and today's topic is how to handle arguments. Now, this is video number 163. If you have a question you'd like for me to consider featuring on the Love Chat, please write it in a comment below. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe and hit like, as it really does help my channel out. Also, if you'd like to do a Skype coaching or email coaching, just visit my website, thelovechat.net/coaching. Now then, let's talk about arguments. They suck. Nobody wants to be a part of an argument. The problem is that the majority of the arguments that we have are based on a false premise. They're based on a miscommunication, or they are often based on a preconceived bias of a situation. Arguments are at their worst when you feel like you're not being heard in a situation, which usually escalates a disagreement into an argument. So today, in this video, let's talk about how we can maybe come to an easier way of understanding how to get through arguments together and maybe de-escalating them from arguments into discussions. And yes, the words that you use to call what the disagreement was are important because they will help inform the situation. We're arguing is a lot different than we're having a disagreement. So the very first coping skill that I'd like to discuss when trying to de-escalate an argument is to ask the other person to sit down with you and calmly explain what it is that they are upset about or what the disagreement is about. During this time, you want to be attentive, pay attention, nod, but don't interrupt, because it's important that this person walks away feeling like you heard them, like they clearly knew what they wanted to say, and they told you. You waited until they were completely finished to offer your side. And before you even get to your side of the disagreement or argument, it's important to repeat back to them what they said and follow it up with, "Did I get that right?" In other words, you want them to understand that you completely comprehend the point that they were just trying to make. What is an argument? It's two sides, two opposite opposing ideas of a conversation. Without spending 30 minutes on the idea of an argument, I think that's a pretty quick and graceful way to explain what it is. So you want to repeat their idea to make sure that you have it completely correct and that you are not miscommunicating their idea. And you will give your side of the story and ask them to do the same. Hey, can you do me a favor? Just because I want to make this a productive conversation, can you repeat back what you think I'm trying to say? And have them do it. 90% of the time, this will immediately clear up whatever the argument is, and it will very quickly de-escalate into more of a conversation. And I use the word de-escalate because it's important to realize that emotions running high will not produce a good argument, or conversation, or whatever word you want to use. It's important to understand that if you are emotionally invested, or at least allowing your emotions to pour over into the discussion, you're not going to have a productive discussion. Which leads me to my next point. Arguments and conversations do not need to be resolved during the first sit-down. But we need to have good structure in place so that when you're discussing whatever is upsetting you, you can look your partner or friend or whatever in the eye and say, hey, you know what? I need a little time because right now I'm reaching an emotional peak, and I realize that if we continue down this path of discussion, I'm not going to be able to come to the table and be constructive. Because I am currently emotional, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to get myself a glass of water. We'll come back at this in a couple of hours when we both have had a breather. And it's important to let the other person know that you are not avoiding the conversation, but that currently you need a bit of a timeout so that you can go and, like we said, sort of de-escalate your emotions and figure out exactly what you're trying to say. That's another thing to consider here. Do you fully understand the point that you're trying to make? Is it perhaps that you are not being constructive or the other person's not being constructive because one or both of you isn't exactly sure why you're feeling what you're feeling, or perhaps isn't exactly sure how to verbalize or put into words exactly how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way? Because oftentimes in arguments, we're not quite sure why we feel the way that we feel. We just do. It's a gut feeling. So before you bring it to the table, it's very important to examine why you feel that way. Otherwise, when you go to an argument or a discussion that turns into an argument, you're going to see that it's not going to be very productive, and in fact, it will be frustrating. And after a while, either you will lose patience with the other person, or they'll lose patience with you, because one of you hasn't figured out why you feel the way that you feel, and what exactly is bothering you. Learning to have these sorts of conversations productively is paramount, because so often we get into arguments and we walk away from arguments regretting things that we've done, things that we've said, the fact that we were perhaps a bit impulsive with our words, or maybe we weren't even really sure why the hell we argued in the first place. But above all, it's extremely important to make sure that just because you aren't being heard, you do not resort to disrespecting the other person. Because as soon as that happens, productive conversation stops. And you're no longer having a discussion to compromise, you're just arguing to be right. Having honest conversations is important, but giving into anger, fear, these happen all the time. And it's up to us to have better relationships, better friendships, better business partnerships, whatever it might be. And it starts with you listening to this video and actually trying to apply these ideas in your day-to-day life. You're not always going to agree with what everybody says. And I can think of no worse reason to sink down to the level of childishness when a conversation could turn out really good and really enlightening. Take some time to think about the way that you talk to others, and you may be surprised. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca says, where there is a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness. That's all I had for today. If you found my video helpful, I'd be very grateful if you'd subscribe and hit like. Please leave a comment below and tell me what topics you want me to cover in the future. Additionally, if you'd like extra videos every week, private live streams with me, and free giveaways of my book coming out at the end of July, just visit my Patreon. Patreon.com/thelovechat. Until next time.